So my name is Christina Del Pico. I'm an island resident, and I'm a member of what we locally call RIC, which is Roosevelt Island Community Coalition. I also am an Emmy-nominated television producer and have recently won 3 grants for Roosevelt Island to start programming for children involving science gardening, where children can learn about science, math, and the origin of food through gardening. So that's been a nice collaboration for Roosevelt Island, the public school. And I just wanted to give an update of RIC, Roosevelt Island Community Coalition. We have been working very closely with Cornell and their entry as our neighbor here on the island. And we have connected with 35 organizations, nonprofit, and concerned citizens to hear what their hopes, dreams, and visions are for Roosevelt Island, their organizations, and also any concerns they might have with Cornell coming in as our new neighbor. And we have been trying to be a even-keeled voice for their concerns and express and collaborate with Cornell as a partnership. So last night, we had the CB8 Manhattan had the final phase of their portion of the Cornell Roosevelt Island project, and they voted for Cornell to continue with the build with a few requests. And these requests were put together by Ellen Mulvey and Jeffrey Escobar and Larry Parnas and others to really spell out what we were looking for in the way of assistance and protection of our health and welfare during 25 years of construction and toxic movement and an exciting new neighbor at the campus. So that's a little bit about RIC and what we wanted to ask the board, you guys, the directors, about is if we could, Cornell has agreed to do many things, but there are some things they have not agreed to do. And I'm just going to list some big ones. Right now, they will not give any action on reinforcing the Helix entry ramp or restricting construction traffic through Main Street or limit the construction and noise to 9 to 5 hours. They are not making any movement on expanding motorgate parking or doing any active work on the seawall or any real movement on providing energy to the rest of the Roosevelt Island. These are some of the things we are asking for. We'll continue to ask for, but they've come back with a no action opinion on those items.
Excuse me, say no action, does that mean they're not even going to look at any further?
Well, in the case of the energy and the steam plant, which has to be decommissioned and all that, they might lend a Cornell study to the feasibility. So I think there's a former study that's out there that's old, and they would be happy to restudy it and see what's possible. But as far as funding and support, they are not really going to step up as we initially have asked. We're still going to keep asking. But the reason I'm here today for RIC is we really want to urge you guys to, at every chance possible, push the executive staff of RIOC to keep negotiating terms and really to keep them top of mind on our behalf. And we're a little worried that RIOC is not as effective because they've undergone some staff changes and are short-staffed. And we really want to know what you are doing to be on top of all that pertains to Cornell. And I know that when we were at the CB8 meeting last night, I heard that there was a real estate committee meeting, and although I'm sure some of that is private, if you could share with us what you know from that is shareable. And also if we could just urge you to please, 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 every time try to really push them forward on negotiating strongly. We feel that with RIOC and RIRA and RIC and all the residents and the press, we can really move forward and make sure that we have a great
Real estate development advisory committee for real. It's been a long day. We have had briefings in executive session regarding current negotiations. At the last 3 committee meetings. First, let me just say what our timing process is. We are not stuck with the ULURP or the EIS process for timing. We are sure that our time extends mostly through 13 because we believe that they need to have our disposition in place before they can finalize their plans. The steam plants will continue to operate through 2013. HHC will shutter them, remediate it, again under terms to be arranged between HHC and RIOC. And the plan right now, as far as steam plant goes, is to do RFI as soon as the conditions are known, request for interest. Basically, we will be able to describe the property and ask anyone, blue sky, what would you do with such things? What would your interest be in such stuff? That would include energy redevelopment or any other use that would be conceivable, including subdivided uses. So, for example, if there's a group that's interested in preserving and using some portion of it as a museum, that would be one response. The purpose of doing that is it's a large facility, and we would like to get ideas before doing anything of a permanent nature, and we can't do it yet because we're not sure of the condition of the place. It requires some remediation because of the nature of the fuel oil that's been used all these years. We're not sure of the structural soundness of the thing. So that's about the steam plant. Concerning Cornell, we've been talking with them about ferry service and about many of the issues you've raised. Transit through the space, extension of services, infrastructure support, there's several others. Not so much the helix. The helix is kind of like a misnomer. They are responsible for restoration of any defects they create in any of our infrastructure. Any construction project can only proceed on that basis. It's not unique to Cornell. They damage the helix, they fix it. They damage a roadway, they fix it. And that's as simple as that. So that doesn't enter into our negotiation because it's a background condition for approval. So the negotiations will be ongoing during 2013. I'd imagine that they would become more intense towards the end of the summer. Bi-weekly meetings are being scheduled between RIOC staff and Cornell advisors and personnel. So don't know if that answers your question. I understand that the punch list of items is being prepared. I'm sure that we'll be able to indicate our interest and our activity, not so much the results of our activity, but that there's ongoing activity in a variety of areas. These will be negotiations, and so particular details will not be available until there are resolutions. Next question.
I have a couple more things for that.
Thank you. Just on 2 of those items, one being the steam plant. I met with Cornell engineers a while ago, back in the beginning, when we talked about the steam plant, to see if they had any interest or if they have any ability to generate electricity, to team up with us, to team up with the other buildings. They took a look at it, and they pretty much came back and said they really don't have any interest in doing that. The steam plant itself, the city will be decommissioning it. We will be giving it, it'll be given back to us. And until we know what kind of condition it will be given back to us in, it's a little difficult to say exactly what will happen. That's why the expression, the request for expression of interest is going to go out. But they have different ways to decommission it. But whatever they come up with, it will be safe for whatever use we want it to be safe for. There are something like 12 barrels underneath the ground, and you can either empty them, get rid of them, or you can put some kind of solution, I don't know what, in it that makes them safe but still usable. Now, there are probably some people who would want to build something on top of something like that, and other people who would not. So we sort of have to know which way they're going with that before we send out the request for expression of interest. But I think it's going to be a very popular piece of property. I think a lot of people are going to want to do something with it. Obviously, we've heard about the art gallery, not just from CAT, but other art galleries, so it sounds like a hot item. The other thing is the ferry service. Howard and I met with Eugene Lee down at City Hall the other day. We were talking about the ferry service. RIOC has conducted a survey, which I think some of you saw at the operations committee, about possible areas where a ferry landing would be. The city has asked us to share that with them, which we kind of already had. And Cornell has said that they're interested in sharing whatever kind of ferry service we come up with. They're not interested in paying for it all themselves, but they're interested in joining with us in doing something or other, as some of the other buildings have also expressed an interest in it. So the city said they're looking at ferry service for further out. They're not sort of looking at 2013. They're talking about closer towards the end of the first build phase when there are more people here. So that's probably not going to happen too soon, but it's definitely on their radar, and we're going to keep up with it. I think Howard said we have meetings scheduled now, regular meetings every other week, but also additional meetings whenever anything comes up.
Thanks.
When Rick met with RIOC staff, one of the things he talked about was the ring of land that they're going to negotiate with Cornell for. And there was a concern that it might not be worth that much to other developers because of the shape of it, but we were concerned that that's a strong negotiating piece of land with Cornell because they need access to it. I spoke to someone who was involved in this before, and he said that it does have to go out for appraisal, but the appraisal is for your benefit, for RIOC's benefit. It's not a public appraisal, it's for your benefit, just so you know what the fair market value is for it. You don't have to charge that much. You can charge more, you can charge less, whatever, but it's just for your benefit. So I'm hoping that you will charge more than the fair market appraisal because it is a strange strip of land, not much can be built on it, but it's very important to Cornell and it's important for RIOC coffers. So I'm encouraging you to charge on this.
Oops. That's semi-true. It's for our benefit, but it's according to the law that we have to go out and do it. And we have to go out and do it because the Public Authorities Act says that we're supposed to charge fair market value for land. If we're going to do anything other than charge fair market value, we have to explain to them why we're doing it, and we have to get approval from the state to charge anything higher or lower. So first thing we have to do is start with what's the fair market value. My concern is that that fair market value is going to be looked at from the perception of what's it worth to anybody. And what's it worth to anybody is very low. Because, and I shouldn't say that, it may not be very low. There's areas around it that maybe, I don't know, somebody could open some, I don't know, restaurant or something, right? It's not big enough for anything except a perimeter kind of thing. If you could figure out something, some use for that, you'd be wrapping yourself around a university. So if there's some kind of, I don't know, organization that would find value in that, we won't know really until we get the appraisals back and it's an independent appraiser. And then whatever we decide to do, we have to get approved by the state.
So can you get it justified by the state? I'm sure you can charge more and then get it justified by the state. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why you can justify it.
That's one of the things that we don't know. I mean, we don't know what they're going to be looking at to justify it. So we're trying to find that out now from the authority's budget office can tell you. Yeah, and we're trying to figure out what kind of parameters we can put around it. So we're kind of looking at it from both ways.
One thing, the appraisal considers best or highest use of the property, so it may provide a range.
Oh, right. That's true. So we may not need it. And I will say, typically they're more concerned if you're charging below market value than when you're charging above. So if it comes out good, then hey, that's it.
Unless it's a bias.
Yeah.
I think you just pull one of those up, yeah.
Grab one of those button, push that
Just
square
press the
button,
button.
and see if the red light comes on.
You'll see a red light come on, bright green light.
And
And
push
it's
that
hard.
down.
It should be coming on.
Yeah, try this.
I'm Ellen Polly. So last night at the community board meeting, one of the community board members said that she would not support anything she would not support a project unless Cornell helped with the seawall. And I am wondering, I know that they told Rick that they are not going to be providing any money towards the seawall. I'm wondering what that means and what is their justification for thinking that they don't have to?
Can't they actually
Right,
mention at the meeting why they don't feel responsible?
Kathy.
What they don't feel, and are you doing, is there any other, city agency that helps with the seawall, or is it just RIOC? And what can RIOC do to push Cornell to assist with that?
RIOC is budgeted how much over the next 10 years for seawall repair? I'm asking my fellow board members, I don't have the numbers in my report. How much? Several million over the road.
Well, there's a current budget item of 10 million.
Yeah, 10 million, over 10 million for the year.
Yeah.
That's all.
And it's, a significant portion is likely to be expended just in the areas adjacent to South Point Park.
Yep.
And we're getting an engineering study done right now. After we have an idea of market value for our ask, then we will tailor, I imagine, a menu of items to get to that place. We get support from the seawall from everywhere we ask, but sometimes it's hard coming. Carolyn Maloney has provided civil support, which she reminds us of every opportunity. And we've gotten support from FEMA. Excuse me, because of the Irene damage, and most likely we'll get additional support because of Sandy.
The seawall, unfortunately, is complicated because the East River and both channels are federally navigable waterways, so any adjustments we have to do, work we have to do in there, we have to get approved by the Army Corps of Engineers, or whatever they're doing. The problem you're looking at from our standpoint is that the only real power we have is that the strip around that weaves in and out from the buildings, about 10 feet or so from the wall, up to where the street lines are, as an area that they have expressed any interest in. The larger picture is that the mayor has already promised that plan. So how that will work out in between our requirements, because it's part of the ground lease that we're responsible for that, as officers in the state, versus can the mayor and governor just alter that contract? Yeah. And then we have no authority. You say, can we get more than what? So far, we've been told it's already promised them, and that it was given to them for nothing. So, more than, if they give us $1, it's more than they've got right now. Are they required, because they are a land-grant college, to work to the benefit of the community by law? Yes. They have not only been given, which could be, hundreds of millions of dollars of property, have they also been given hundreds of millions of dollars in various grants and promises from the city and the state and other folks? Yes. Are they required to work with the communities in a substantial way? Yes. Is anyone really seriously keeping track as to the totalities of what they're doing? And they are projecting themselves that they are doing safety, servicing the grounds, servicing around the grounds, and, movement, day-to-day wear and tear, the additional traffic flows. That's something that, to a large extent, we have to figure out how to quantify and spread out the cost. Again, what is directly attributable to them, what can we negotiate with them for operating dollars, or whether that's going to just be included in some ground rent agreement predicated that we get a ground rent agreement. I mean, I've been pretty vocal that I think that for both the demolition phase and the bulk movement phase, that they should barge that material in, because that's going to be very heavy and difficult material to work with. Also, aside from the fact that it's going to be heavy bulk material that damage the roads and things like that, just the volume of trucks and transport to move that out, with the number of trucks based on the size of our road, a standard queuing equation, they said they're going to be interested in like 60-something trucks per day. In an 8-hour day is a truck every 7.5 minutes. So if a truck is loading and leaving every 7.5 minutes going in both directions, that means that there will be 3 or 4 trucks on our road at any given time all day during the business day.
What is it, 8-hour day? 8-hour day?
Assuming an 8-hour day. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I sit in my office, window, until 11:30 at night. And while they were building, many nights, while they were building the FDR monument, the biggest stones, the ones that framed the box, came in by barge. Night after night, we saw trucks coming down Main Street at 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night with the smaller slab of granite. Don't assume, never assume.
That's true. But either way, it's still a lot of trucks.
Sure is.
At any given time on our roads. And that's assuming that there's no damage or anything else, just the trucks moving up and down.
What did I just tell you about assume?
So,
Never
But
assume.
one thing you can assume is that the Southtown building is going to be going up at the same time.
Yeah.
And they're going to have probably an equal size.
and we don't know whether Kohler will be ever reopened, and what will be the disposition of Kohler, and if there's going to be any activities related to that.
I shall tell you that at the time that Southtown, planning began for construction of Southtown, we were quite adamant that, why are you holding that mic in my face? People can't hear me. So, we were quite adamant that they should be barging in their building materials for Southtown 1 through 6. And they laughed at our faces. And Southtown 1 through 6 got built without any barging. And if we can get them to barge, that's great. Don't count on it. I just remember that this island has been a construction project for most of the past 20 or 30 years. Between Manhattan Park, Octagon, Southtown, Tram, FDR, something's always being built here. And if this project stretches out over 10 or 15 or 20 years, I'm sure we're going to have to rebuild the bridge at some point. I'm going to argue with them then, but it's going to pay for it. That's going to have to be done. Because we've subjected the bridge to so much stress already.
And the bridge was just rebuilt, the bridge is not.
I'm talking about that. It's not our bridge.
And, well, I want to thank you guys for being here, and I request that the next time we do this, I really wish that this was advertised a lot better and a lot earlier.
I should tell you that I first heard about this when Margie pointed out that there was something in the board pack, the agenda about it. I didn't know about it until last week.
And we got a blast today from RIOC, but it wasn't in the paper and it wasn't. And I even looked at the agenda days ago, but I didn't notice anything.
At the very bottom.
So I think that a lot more people, hopefully a lot more people will be in here. If you're going to do it, let's do it.
Let's not do it 4 days before Christmas.
Well, it didn't have to be. It didn't.
But you're right.
It didn't have to be.
But the world ends tomorrow. This is our last chance.
That's right.
It's already tomorrow's evening, so.
They're not here anymore?
Yeah, well,
All right, so
it's seen in the world news, it's still there, so.
I would just like for those who weren't here before, if someone would just talk about what's taking so long about Leslie's replacement and Fernando's replacement. And it's, you know, it's just really a concern, even when they were here, things took so long. And now, you know, I'm just concerned about what things that need to be done on the island and our status.
The reason I'm smiling is when you were talking about how we should push executive staff to do this and that, and I was thinking, assuming we still have an executive staff.
That could be a bigger problem. I mean, the beauty of working with Cornell was finding out who works and lives on the island and how things work or don't work. And I just want a communication flow, and if RIOC is operational and a voice toward the governor or whomever, great. If it's not and it's the directors or RIRA or whomever, we just want to be able to share transparently updates and news so we're working as one island.
I should tell you that after tonight's board meeting, some of us had just a quick moment with the commissioner who's going to be on vacation for the next few weeks. And we, as Marty mentioned, we have a governance meeting scheduled for next Wednesday, the 26th. And the commissioner said something like, well, let me know the result of that meeting and then we'll get busy with it. Or some words to that effect.
We're in a tough position here. We hear things in executive session that we can't say to anybody. This new governor is a governor who is very much in control of what's going on. He's now looking at public authorities. We see things happening underneath us. We see Leslie resigning. We see Fernando resigning. We don't know if there was something behind those resignations or they chose to resign. They didn't share that with us. There's not much we can do about it. I don't know what else to tell you, except we've been trying to get those positions filled at the governance committee meeting on Wednesday or Thursday. I'm not sure which day it's scheduled for. Wednesday, I think. Hopefully by then we'll have something.
Yeah.
We'll have something. The 26th, right?
You're the chair.
I think it's Wednesday. Anyway, hopefully by then, I've asked the commissioner to give us an update. He said he would have one by then for us. So hopefully we'll be able to explain what's going on and tell you what we're doing. But we're trying everything we can while still keeping the place running to the degree that we can.
And I just put one other item. We talked about this, or I talked about it at one of the last operations committee meetings about the request for interest. Is that
Expression of interest.
Expression of interest for the rooms. So
The rooms, right.
Yeah, we had talked about that originally for the steam plant, and then I asked, can we do that
Right.
on the rooms? Because I just think that the environment now is just so different, and that there may be a lot more interest now than ever before. And it would just be great to be proactive about it, rather than someone coming and say, okay, we have money to do this, and then acting on it. Why not see what great things could be done down there?
I'm just going to say that that's not the RIOC. The fellows wanted to build that restaurant on the pier.
Yeah.
They came to us with the idea. They were ready to go right now. And we said, oh no, we have to use your idea as the basis for an RFP.
Right,
Wait, I had a comment on that. Sucked. We're rooting them on. The people of the FDR seem to think that they're going to get control of the Renwick smallpox hospital ruined just like that. And they're not, because even if they come to us with a concept with a whole bunch of money, we say, okay, well, now we'll put it out for an RFP. I know you're suggesting, Vicki, that we get ahead of the game on this one, because you think that the time is right for us just to put the property in play. You may be right. I don't know who's going to do it, though, because we have no operations guy and we have no president.
And no IT director.
And no IT director. I forgot about that. Or recreation manager, whatever the hell that guy's job is.
His vote, that's all.
I moved 5 votes. But they're party built. Why don't we charter them ourselves? We did that about 25 years ago. We took the circle line, vote for the night. privately for private party, and it was our party. So a bunch of people from the island.
Yeah, a little too much time on hand back then.
No. It was like planned for months and months and months. So every time I see one of these party lists, I was like, why can't that be us? I bet we could sell your tickets to one of those.
Rubber duck race.
Huh?
Another rubber duck race.
I remember that. In fact, I think we built Island Solidarity, and I think probably Rick should take it.
I like it.
It was fun.
Let's do a fundraiser. I love it. Why not?
One, here we were with money.
We did it with the radio station. Everybody got their duck.
No, this was different. This is just a party.
Well, yeah, your part, not the rubber duck race. We threw all the rubber ducks and made sure the current was going that way. We threw them all in the water. There were boats there and all. See who.
Where did they all go?
They all went up to the other end of the island. The current took along.
Yeah, now we can't.
It's a radio station that.
Be careful what you fish out of the river, though.
No, I think they had to be fished out.
Anyway, we're digressing.
Yeah.
No, we're talking about matters as serious as the board is ever allowed to do.
That's why I just said we're digressing.
I think if there's other important questions, we should do that.
I have a follow-up question to the point that kind of, Nicole Walden, member of RIOC, a new member, that you have to prove that any damage to the infrastructure was specifically caused by Cornell's construction. Is there a mechanism to preemptively estimate the amount of damage that would be caused by the volume of traffic? Because even if it's everyday wear and tear, if it's an excessive volume of everyday wear and tear, there must be some kind of storage.
That would be great to be able to do. There are basic engineering studies. The problem is they're generally not that specific to a structure of that age. We know, for example, that there's some work that needs to be done that's already being planned through operations, and which is basically replacing the roadbed. That's going to be a nightmare because we know that so far with the original work study was done, we have to cut out sections, close like half the loop. There's only one lane, and then take sections out, put in new sections, and do that, and close it. So that's going to be, if you think about what's involved. What we'd have to do to be more specific in them is to have an engineer document the current condition of the bridge, the current rate of stabilization and or decay, and figure out whether they think any damage, acceleration of damage was caused by their work, aside from any traumatic damage. That is, if they send a truck up there that's way too heavy and just crushes part of the bridge, that's clearly something you can see. But any additional wear and tear to the roadbed or to the helix itself is relatively difficult for us to document. That would be, if we say you have to, we estimate that you cost us so much more in escalation, we're going to do this work to the helix, and they push back and say, no, that's not us.
Aren't we in the process of getting Main Street rebuilt anyway?
Yeah.
Don't we have the first project here?
But not all of Main Street.
And then we built Main Street, we rebuilt from the tram up to River Cross for the traffic, David Pratt Memorial Traffic Circle. A couple of years ago, on Urban Ministry, the only part that still needs to be rebuilt is the part from River Cross.
River Cross to the helix. Now, part of the challenge there is that in some board meetings, early board meetings, people have complained that they didn't want city standard roadbeds. They liked zebra, and that it would change, and that they would change the aesthetic quality of the island if we took out the zebra. And I was like, well, we can leave the zebra in the sidewalks, but the challenge is that the zebra itself is sitting on they lay down a sand bed, and they put down that someone has to hand fit all the Z-bricks and they're like back in. So while the Z-bricks themselves are fairly stable, sturdy, they get dislodged by heavy trucks, traffic, and water, and some of that, and then someone has to go in there, and every time something gets damaged underneath, you have to have people by hand pick the Z-bricks up, do work. The advantage of city standard housing is that a city standard roadbed is that they have an unknown cost because they use so much of it all the time. They cut into it, they rip it out, they pour it in concrete, and they put asphalt on top, and they're done pretty quickly.
right now to see what, I'm thinking, talking just about the yields.
Yeah.
We see what kind of shape it's in. And any engineer should be able to tell you,
That's
with
right.
normal wear and tear, a baseline, how long that should last, based on normal wear and tear. They can define normal wear and tear. We can then look at what Cornell has done that's over and above our normal wear and tear.
We
I mean,
can,
if they say
that's a
normal-
normal engineering study, but,
Yeah.
but it's a question about how amicable they are to saying we've documented this much wear and tear versus how much. It's not as straightforward as we would like to think it
But I
is.
mean, we can document the wear and tear on our side of it, and we know how many trucks they're gonna be sending back and forth, right? And we can calculate that, so that's the extra wear and tear. Now, I know what you're saying, they're gonna say, well, X number of that was your own regular wear and tear, so why didn't you get to do part of the normal wear and tear yourself? But they don't.
The bottom line
They
is
say-
it's going to be complicated, and they don't necessarily feel that it's, yeah, it's money, it's New York City, it's going to be complicated.
And also you have unusual wear and tear for any other projects going on.
Right, yeah, well, sure, they'll
Yeah.
say Southtown had this
Bear-
major,
bear in
so
mind,
then we
you-
say Southtown, so then that part, that's your
When
part.
they were doing Southtown, and there was damage where the helix meets the street, and there was damage to that walkway, and people were complaining there was no, leading us some flooding problem, there was damage to the road because the wheelchairs were having trouble. We had a hard time getting any type of money back to get that repaired, and that was clearly damage caused by Southtown and Octagon. And we had to pay a lot of money to fix that whole ramping and stuff right underneath that walkway. So, how well we're going to be able to document any money out of them for
Well, then maybe before they get started, we get them to pre-agree, like a prenuptial thing. This is what we're considering normal wear and tear. You agree that anything over and above that would be caused by you.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine two
It's,
engineers talking to each other.
it's not as easy as it sounds. It would be great if we could do that.
We do have engineers, Rick, that have offered to step up and do whatever we need. I don't know if you have to go through the full RFP process, but a baseline before work starts in Southtown or with Cornell, I think is a terrific idea, just so we as an island know.
To hire them to do an official study signed up by a PE, we have to do an RFP as a thing. If they want to volunteer their services and provide a study, that's entirely up to the community. Because remember, the